Hello, my first IGTV on this new account, and I'm here because one, I need to practice, and two, I really want to tell you two stories that I've seen in a documentary years and years ago that I would love your feedback and opinion on. It was a documentary that I came across when I had very recently discovered FA myself. And as you can imagine, I was very excited about having this documentary aired in the UK at the time. I sort of remembered these two stories that came out of this documentary years ago, and I thought, well, I might as well tell them to you now. They both got negative parts to them, but at least one of them comes out with some kind of positive outcome. The documentary is called Chubby Chasers, released in 2004. It really is, in my opinion, one of the best FA documentaries I think you'll ever find out there. If anything, it was one of the main influences that made me want to be more open about my preference and about myself, because all I could see was these people who were just out and proud and enjoying themselves. If you just look up Chubby Chasers UK documentary, I think is what you can search under. One of the subjects that it touches upon is the idea of shame. It's only a very minor part that it's mentioned in here. It is about the topic of shame, about why some fat admirers stay in the closet, and that some people are just so deeply ashamed of loving their partners large that they would go to the most extreme lengths to hide that part of themselves, or even hide a partner. And this is the first story I want to tell you about. Can't remember the guy's name in the documentary, but he was so morbidly embarrassed by his preference and his partner that he was almost as like if he was in one of those police interviews where the entire room is like blacked out and you can't see him at all. And he was talking about the fact that he was in a relationship with this lady for, get this, 10 years. 10 years. He kept her secret from all of his friends and family because he was that ashamed of his preference for big ladies. And he did not want to be identified in the documentary, but he wanted to talk about how his shame has affected his life and their relationship. And I remember watching it at the time when I was a teenager and thinking to myself, this is kind of next level. First of all, I'm thinking, poor woman, and then I'm thinking, the poor guy, where he feels a need to keep himself in this cocoon in this way. I think they'd started dating and he brought this lady back to his house, and he doesn't describe anything about how much she weighs or what dress size she is, but from the way he was describing her, I think that she's in the super fat range. And the next door neighbour's kids said something like, God, look at the size of her. Well, kids being kids, they say it how they see it, don't they? And that was what made him want to completely hide her from the world. Throughout their entire 10-year relationship, that's what he did. He hid her from everybody. As far as his friends and family were concerned, he was single. He was a bachelor. Inevitably, some might say, his lady friend had had enough of being his dirty secret and broke off the relationship. I don't think you could blame her for that, really, to be honest. And the guy is still sitting there, like, in the dark, in the shadows, telling the camera that due to his own insecurity, it's cost him a relationship with a lady he cared very deeply about. I'm looking at this thing here. I'm trying to distract myself, sorry, because I'm nervous. See this? Yeah, it looks like lipstick, but it is actually a pen. Yeah, I've just been sitting here fiddling about with this in my hands, trying to keep myself busy. And anybody who's wondering what this is, look, it's a mermaid's tail. This, I love this. Yeah, anything to make me feel safe and secure sitting here in this chair. And off the top of that story I've just told you, I want to say that I do resonate with the guy in a way, because I mean, look at me, I'm 35 and I've only started talking about this and posting artwork about my preference, and I'm effing 35 years old. And so for anybody who's heard that story that I've just recounted to you, who's saying, oh, you know, life's too short, and what was this guy doing? You know, it's difficult, isn't it? It is difficult. Like, and we're talking 20 years ago when this documentary was first aired, and we're talking about a time before body positivity, before size inclusivity. It was a different world, and attitudes towards size and sexuality were quite a bit different to now. So I mean, I've been dealing with my own shame on and off for the last 16 years of my adult life, and so I do feel for the guy really in that way, but more than anything I do feel sorry for the woman that he kept in the doldrums for how many years. And that brings me on to my next story, and this one does actually end on a bit more positive note, just so you know, it's not all doom and gloom. A lady called Sue, this lovely lady called Sue, and she was happy to be seen on camera, and she was happy to tell her story. Sue was a big girl all of her life. She was a very large lady, and she was in a relationship with this guy, again, for 9 years, she said. So like the previous guy, you know, like nigh on 10 years, both of these relationships, these women were in relationships with these guys. She was in a relationship with this fella for 9 years, and he, again, was so embarrassed and ashamed about his love for large ladies that, again, he kept her secret from all of his friends and family. Again, all of his nearest and dearest, as far as they were concerned, you know, he was single. This lovely Sue, she's recounting about how she really mainly only went out with her friends on her own, and she was with this fella and he wouldn't invite her to any kinds of social events, never invited to a barbecue, not invited anywhere with his friends, or to a pub or to a cinema. And she, well, you can tell from the look on her face as she's talking about her experience that she felt, well, rubbish. Well, as anybody would be if you knew that your partner was that ashamed of you, or ashamed to be seen with you, or ashamed that they love you and find you attractive. She said that it all came to a head when he was invited to a Christmas party, and somehow his friends or a family member must have twigged that he must have been seeing someone, and they said to him, oh, do you want to come to this Christmas party and you can invite your girlfriend down? And he actually, you know, get this, he paid his slimmer ex-girlfriend to come down to this Christmas party and pose as his girlfriend. I mean, I'm not laughing, I'm not smiling at the situation, I'm just flummoxed about the lengths that somebody would go to. But people do it. People do it. I mean, they just do. Like, people have affairs. People cheat behind partners' backs for years, and they somehow are able to cover it up for so long. Closet FAs, that they do it. They lead a double life, and for what? Because they're that afraid of what their nearest and dearest will think of them. And when I first heard that story, I just thought to myself, oh, that this poor Sue, this poor, lovely, beautiful woman was being treated this way. That was the point in their relationship where she just felt absolutely dreadful. She was thinking to herself, do you know what, I deserve better. She was thinking about maybe looking for somebody who would treat her like the queen that she is, who would love her and treat her the way she deserves. Even though she must have been feeling absolutely awful, she was clinging on to the hope that she would meet somebody who would treat her this way. She didn't say how she discovered BBW websites, but anyhow, she discovered the BBW websites and she decided to sign up. And she said that the response she got was absolutely mind-blowing. She was getting emails all over the place from these guys who were saying, oh, you're wonderful, you're beautiful. And then there was this one guy that she connected with above the others, and she was contacting him non-stop for about 3 months. And then there came to a point when he said to her, do you know what, are we actually gonna end up meeting? And she said, yeah, we can meet, we could go to the pub or something, but I must warn you, I am a fat, ugly troll. The guy said to her, these are her words, apparently he said to her, do you really think I care about what you look like? And that was it, they were going on a date. She was super excited because this was the first time that she was going on a date in public with someone who was not afraid to be seen with her. And she went to the pub where he was, and the first thing out of his mouth was, you are not an ugly troll. And it went from there, and because of him, that was when she finally decided to say bye-bye to the other guy. And so those are the two stories I wanted to leave you with, and that's what I wanted to make a YouTube video about, based on the topic of shame. But I'm not ready for YouTube yet. I thought I'd do it on here for IGTV. I want to say, like, exactly like I said earlier, when it comes to shame and why people keep that side of themselves secret for so long, and when I think about these two stories, I do feel sorry for the two guys in these two stories. You know, I don't want to demonize them in any way. And I mean, I don't condone what they did at all. I mean, like, you not only wasted 10 years of your own life, but you wasted 10 years of these ladies' lives. You know, they could have found somebody who would have treated them like queens, and maybe if those guys found the freedom and the peace to be themselves, then they would have been a lot more happier. But you know what, we all find our own peace and our own freedom in our own way eventually. I mean, who am I to blink and talk? I've only just started expressing my preference in my artwork only now at my blinking age, and I've just turned 35 years old. There's nothing I could do about my past, the fact that I wasn't able to express that before. And that's why I feel a bit of a soft spot for the two guys in these two stories. And even more so for these two lovely ladies in the stories. This documentary, Chubby Chasers, look it up, Chubby Chasers, the UK version, 2004. That was broadcast nearly 20 years ago, and if these guys are still around, I hope to goodness that the two guys in the stories managed to find their freedom and were able to be in a place where they could be themselves and find the ladies that they so deserve to be with, and are not afraid to show all of the real them too, with their loved ones, their friends and their family, and that they are in a place where they can be 100% comfortable with who they are. And lovely Sue, and the lady from the first story who never got her name from that first story, but I hope that they found gentlemen who were able to love them for all of them as they are. Tell me what you think, and I hope to do some more lives on IGTV for you soon. Yeah, watch this space. Have a nice evening. Night night.